town of Logan Meadows had come to life, and the nail-pounding activity had the town in a stir. Thom continued on, knowing no one would recognize him. He'd left a boy and returned a man. He glanced across the street at the mercantile. Scents of pine oil, tobacco, and candles being dipped all flitted through his mind. The recollection of molasses brought welcome moisture to his mouth, and sounds of childish laughter reverberated in his head as he recalled the row of thick glass jars filled with all sorts of colorful confections. He blinked, and the images evaporated into the air. Surprisingly, old Mrs. Miller, the owner of the mercantile and as prune-faced as ever, was still alive and out sweeping the boardwalk. She stopped and stared at him, clearly unmindful of her rudeness, then waved her broom to shoo away two scraggly boys kicking an old can back and forth across the wooden slats. Thom crossed the alley and stepped back on the boardwalk. He'd only taken a few steps when the dented can shot through his feet, almost tripping him, and slid under the doors of the Bright Nugget Saloon. The dirtier of the two urchins tried to scramble past in pursuit, but Thom caught him by his small shoulders. "Let me, son. A saloon is no place for such a young lad." "You sure, mister?" the boy said timidly. He kicked at the ground with a well-worn boot and glanced in the direction of the mercantile, probably hoping to avoid Mrs. Miller's broom. Thom ruffled the kid's thick mass of blonde hair. "Sure, I'm sure. Us men have got to stick together, right?" He winked. "Now wait here, and I'll be right back." Pushing through the swinging doors, Thom let his eyes adjust. The saloon was dark in contrast to the sunny day. Music and carefree laughter careened around the room. Waitresses served drinks to the occupied tables and flirted with the men at the bar. Remembering the reason he was there, he bent and picked up the can. As he turned to leave, he froze. A cowboy with a large bowed nose threw down his poker hand and hooted, collecting the pile of dollar bills and coins from the middle of the table. Anger flooded Thom's body, and a buzzing hummed in his ears. That nose could only belong to one man. Rome Littleton. 100 times Thom had dreamed of wrapping his hands around the cur's throat and slowly squeezing the life out of him. What was Rome doing in Logan Meadows? Whatever the reason, it couldn't be good. He took a step toward the poker table and stopped. As much as he hated to admit it, he had to leave it go. Reining in his temper, he walked out, handed the can to the boy waiting in the street, and headed toward the sheriff's office next door. The medium-sized jailhouse looked as if it had suffered a fire at one time. Thom yanked open the thick oak door and stepped through. Two men looked up. The loose-fitting pants, a parting gift from the penitentiary up in Deer Creek, suddenly felt awkward. Thom ran his left palm around the inside of his waistband, making sure his ragged shirt was properly tucked in. Sheriff Albert Preston, presumably the current sheriff because of the silver star pinned to his vest and the name on the wall, sat at the desk. Across the room, in one of the open cells, another fellow was stretched out on a cot, his fingers laced behind his head and his boots propped up on the metal end post. The sheriff took in Thom's ragged appearance, and his eyes narrowed a bit. His hand stilled from whatever he was writing. "Thinks I'm a beggar looking for a handout. May I help you?" "I was told to check in with you when I got to town." The sheriff stood. The other fellow sat up and then came out of the cell. Dwight Hoskins. Thom immediately recognized him. The sorry excuse of a human being had gone from shifty-eyed youth to full-grown man. He had a silver star, too. Damn. Bad luck running into him first thing. "You have something to say or not, tramp?" Dwight asked. "Be quiet." The sheriff shot his deputy a reproving look. He came around his desk and waited. "My name is Thom Donovan," Dwight blurted. He rocked back on his heels. "I knew you looked familiar. Wait a minute. Your 12 years for rustling aren't up yet. Why, it's only been—" He held his hand out and started counting his fingers under his breath.